where several states are holding key primaries today, including New York, Oklahoma, Colorado, Utah, and Illinois. Voters are heading to the polls to narrow down the lineup of key positions, including U.S. Senate and House seats. In Illinois, redistricting is forcing 4 House incumbents to vie for a shot at re-election. Chicago Tribune political reporter Rick Pearson joins us now with more on this. All right, we want the lay of the land. What are the key races that you're following today?
Well, overall, let's start with the Trump factor. Even though Illinois is a state that Democrats have defeated Trump twice by 17 percentage points, this is about the direction of the Illinois Republican Party and its relevancy, and it's headed in a definite Trump direction. There are 6 Republicans vying to challenge freshman Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker. That's one of the top marquee races, and the leading candidate just received Trump's endorsement over the weekend in Illinois. We had those congressional races you talk about. Illinois lost one of its 18 House seats in redistricting. That's put together a Trump factor race in downstate Illinois between Mary Miller, a freshman who is to the far-right extremes in the Republican Party, an ally of Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Freedom Caucus. She's running against 5-term Republican conservative, Rodney Davis, who has been in Republican leadership and Kevin McCarthy's leadership. That's on the Republican side. Upstate on the Democratic side, we have freshman Marie Newman, who's challenging 2-term Democratic Congressman Sean Casten in the suburbs of Chicago. And this could be a test here of Democratic women voting as a result of the Roe decision. And one of the examples of, do women get an extra bump here, because there will be an increased woman turnout because of Roe.
So as we've also mentioned, and you've mentioned, redistricting in the state is forcing these 4 members of Congress to face off for their old jobs. What do you think this impact will have on the floor of the House?
Well, this is going to be, again, Illinois is a Democratic state, and its current 18 members, there are only 4 Republicans in that bunch. So the idea, when Democrats who control the legislature drew the maps and did it to draw to increase Democratic representation, the Democratic goal in Illinois was to try to maximize Democratic input in the House and bring it to a 14-3 Democratic delegation in hopes of trying to help the House stay blue. But of course, again, serious headwinds nationally for Democrats in trying to keep control of the House.
You mentioned a little bit the Trump factor. Former President Trump has thrown his support behind Congresswoman Mary Miller, but her opponent, Congressman Rodney Davis, is outpacing Miller in fundraising. He also voted in favor of certifying the 2020 election and for an investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol. These are biggies for the former president. What does this say about the power that Trump holds over Republicans in this district?
Well, it's not just the district, quite frankly, it's the rest of Illinois outside the Chicago metropolitan area. As you get downstate into those rural Republican areas, granted, fewer voters than there are in the Chicago area, but Illinois used to be downstate, was a kind of a purplish territory. It is ruby red right now, and it's entirely the Trump factor will determine really who wins this race. Rodney Davis is the establishment candidate. Yes, he did vote for a independent January 6th commission to look into the insurrection, but he voted against the House Select Committee that's meeting now. And in fact, Kevin McCarthy had named him as one of the members of that House Select Committee until he withdrew all of his picks because of Nancy Pelosi deciding she wouldn't seat a couple of his members. That's become an issue in this race, as Mary Miller has tried to say that Rodney Davis is backstabbing the president with his support of the investigation and the insurrection.
So let's have that discussion about Congresswoman Mary Miller. She responded to the Supreme Court's decision that overturned Roe versus Wade and thanked former President Trump for a, quote, victory for white life. Her campaign has since said that she misspoke, that she was supposed to say, quote, victory for right to life. She received backlash nationally. Before that, Mary Miller was in national attention back in 2021 for suggesting that Adolf Hitler got something right. Of course, those heinous comments were across the board I mean, Hitler got nothing right. So, I mean, how has this response been seen locally, and does it impact her campaign at all? What does it say if it doesn't impact her campaign, that she has talked about Hitler in a positive light and that she's made these comments at a rally with the former president?
Well, that speaks to the heart. That is the big question. What does it say about that district? What does it say about the voters? What does it say about Republicanism? I mean, the fact that she says that she misspoke, you know, it's entirely possible. But given her history of controversial comments, of controversial votes, of actually the fact that take no prisoner kind of style of far right politics, and now she's asking for consideration because she made a mistake. You know, nationally, not a lot of people were willing to give her that. But nevertheless, when she said that line, she got lots of applause from that audience on a county fairgrounds. And so, you know, one more reflection here of the Trumpian effect, as well as kind of the divisions. But again, you know, this is a rural district in downstate Illinois, central Illinois. And the bulk of the votes come from the Chicago metropolitan area. And that area used to be, the city was urban Democrats, and the collar counties outside it were the firewall of Republicans. That firewall burned through over the last 2 decades, and now the suburbs are very much turning Democratic, and the Republicans are finding themselves more isolated into these downstate and ex-urban rural areas.
All right, Rick Pearson for us. As always, Rick, we thank you very much.
Thank you.